This morning, a sound you chose woke you up. You reached over, tapped a piece of glass to make it stop, and laid there for a minute, being annoyed that you had to get up. Annoyed. In a heated room, on a soft thing, with food in the next room that you didn't have to catch. You didn't think about any of that. Why would you? It's just Tuesday. Somebody else is thinking about it, though. Somebody's been watching you all morning. This is Dave. Dave is an ancient human, roughly 40,000 years old, give or take. Dave spent his entire life doing two things: trying to find food and trying not to become food. And the thing everybody assumes is that if Dave saw your life, he'd be impressed, amazed, maybe a little jealous. He's not. Dave is concerned, because Dave has been watching you since the sound went off. And as far as he can tell, you are a soft, slow, defenseless creature who voluntarily lives in a box. And somehow you are still alive, and it is starting to scare him. So we're going to do something simple. We're going to walk Dave through one normal day of your life and watch what he makes of it. And it starts out funny. Dave's confused by your cereal. Dave's terrified of your microwave. At one point, Dave watches you get inside a metal animal, and he does not take it well. But it doesn't stay funny, because somewhere in the middle of your very normal day, Dave figures out something about you that you've never let yourself think about. And it's going to sit heavier than you'd expect from a video about a confused caveman. So, let's introduce Dave to your alarm clock. Here's the first thing that breaks Dave's brain. You set the sound that woke you up. You chose it. The night before, you scrolled a list of sounds, had opinions, not that one, too aggressive, and selected the exact noise to tear you out of the safest, warmest sleep a human being has ever had. And you scheduled it for 6:45. For Dave, waking up suddenly meant something was wrong. A predator, a rival, weather that could kill you. It was the worst feeling there was. You took the worst feeling there was, gave it a pleasant little melody, and set it to repeat daily. Dave does not have a word for this. Dave is just staring. He'll be staring for most of the video. Then you make breakfast, and this is where he really struggles. You open a box. Inside is a bag. Inside the bag are little dry shapes made of a grass somebody else grew, harvested, cooked, and dyed a color that doesn't exist in nature, then drove across the country in a metal container the size of Dave's entire cave. You pour the shapes into a bowl. You cover them in a white liquid that came out of a large animal you'll never meet. And then, and Dave wants to be clear about this part, you sigh, because you're out of the good kind. For 200,000 years, getting enough food to survive was the entire point of being alive. People died for it. And you're standing in a room with more food than Dave's whole tribe saw in a season, mildly disappointed because it's the wrong shapes. Dave isn't judging you. Dave is looking around the kitchen for the threat. There's always a threat. He can't find it, and somehow that's more upsetting than if there were one. Then you go into a small white room, and what happens in here nearly finishes him off. You pull a lever, and clean drinking water that people would walk half a day to find spins in a circle and disappears. On purpose. Then you scrub the rocks in your mouth with a tiny brush for no reason Dave can identify. Nothing is attacking them, you're just maintaining them. You have so little to worry about that you've started taking care of individual teeth. Then you do the microwave. You put cold food in a box. The box hums. 90 seconds later, the food is hot. Nobody made a fire. Nobody kept the coals alive through the night like a sacred, fragile little life the whole tribe depended on. You pressed a square. You summoned heat. And then you got annoyed that it takes a minute and a half. Dave would have worshipped that box. You glare at it for being slow. Then you walk outside, and Dave is briefly relieved. Outside. Finally. Something he understands. And then you walk straight up to a large metal animal sitting in front of your cave. And you get inside it. Dave is yelling now. You can't hear him, but he is yelling. You climb into the belly of a metal beast, feed it a liquid pumped from the ground, and it carries you down a river of stone at a speed no human was ever built to survive, surrounded by hundreds of others doing the exact same thing, inches apart. And the whole time, you are calm, bored, slightly irritated the one ahead is going too slow. Dave has watched you nearly die 4 times before 8 a.m., and you notice none of them. Then you arrive at the strangest place yet. Your job. Dave understands work. Dave worked harder than you can imagine. But Dave's work made sense. You hunt the thing, you eat the thing. Here, you sit in a small box inside a bigger box and stare at a glowing rectangle for 8 hours, and in exchange, invisible tokens appear in an invisible place that trade for the food and the cave and the metal animal's fuel. And here's what gets him. You don't like it here. Dave can tell. And yet you've decorated the box. A little plant. It's a photo. You made the box you don't want to be in slightly nicer, so you can not want to be there more comfortably. And then, the one that finally makes Dave sit down on the floor, you go to the gym. After sitting still all day, you put on special clothes, drive to a special building, walk past every machine, and get on the one that goes nowhere. And you run. You run from nothing, for fun. Dave ran when something was chasing him. Running was fear, the single worst moment of any day. And here you are, safe and fed, paying tokens for the privileges of feeling chased, because your body was built to move and your life no longer requires it to. So, you fake the danger just to feel like yourself. Dave keeps looking behind you to see what you're running from. There's a wall, there's a TV playing a cooking show. That's it. And right there, watching you sprint towards nothing, something shifts in Dave's face, because that's the moment he starts to understand. Here's what Dave figured out, somewhere between cereal and the treadmill. You won. Not you specifically, your whole species. Everything Dave was afraid of, you beat. The cold that killed his children, you turned into a dial on the wall. The hunger that ran his entire life, you turned into a minor inconvenience between meetings. The predators, the darkness, the wounds that meant death, gone. You live inside the dream Dave's tribe told stories about, around the only fire they had. You are living in his heaven. And Dave has been watching you all day in heaven, and you spent it annoyed. Annoyed at the alarm, disappointed by the cereal, bored by the miracle box, stressed in the still room you decorated, running from a danger that isn't there because some part of you is still looking for it too. That's the part that gets Dave. Not that you're soft. He'd have been soft too given the chance. It's that you got everything his people died reaching for. The safety and the warmth and the long, long life. And somewhere in all that winning, you stop being able to feel it. Dave never had a single safe day. He'd have given anything for one of yours. You get them by the thousands, and you barely look up. So here's what Dave would think of you. He wouldn't think you're spoiled. He'd think you're haunted. He'd look at this soft, safe, well-fed person standing in the middle of everything his species ever wanted, still bracing for a threat that left 10,000 years ago, and he'd feel sorry for you. And then he'd tell you the one thing he learned that you never got the chance to. He noticed every warm day because he knew how rare they were. The food tasted better when he wasn't sure he'd get it. A safe night's sleep felt like a gift because for him, it actually was one. You have all of his gifts. You just forgot they were gifts. So tomorrow, when the sound you chose wakes you up in your heated room, on your soft thing, with your food in the next room, take 1 second, just one. Before you get annoyed, Dave would have killed for that second. It's just Tuesday, but you're alive and warm and safe. And that used to be the whole dream. Anyway, that's what ancient humans would think of us. Ever wonder about these things? Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. It helps me keep making these cool videos for you. See you in the next one.